Hey there YouTube, I'm Joe, you're watching Ink&Iron, and today we're going to do the 1-year review of the Leatherman Free P4. If you haven't seen my other videos about this multi-tool, I will drop links in the description. I have also compared it before to the Leatherman Surge, so that's been a very popular video. I suggest you go check that out as well, and I will be doing some comparisons to the Surge just to illustrate my points about how I've been feeling about the performance of this multi-tool over the last year. Excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse for some reason. Not sure why, but it'll come across in the video. Alright, well anyway, let's get started. Here we are 1 year later. This is the Leatherman Free P4. I've been using this for a year. I have not really used the Sheath, although Sheath is pretty nice as far as Leatherman sheaths go. I am glad to have a button instead of Velcro. However, I really don't prefer to carry this tool on my belt. I prefer to carry it in my pocket, as you can tell by me having this deep carry pocket clip. It does ride well. I do have a Leatherman Surge as well, which is not quite as carryable. Here's the Surge. And I gotta say, in terms of pocket clips, the Free series definitely is winning out over the old Leatherman style clip. As you can see, I'm actually binding a little bit up here, so that's about as deep as that rides. And then this Surge is like 12 ounces, and I think this one is like 9 ounces, something like that. I'll have exact specifications for you right now, actually. So now that you've got all the details, it is much more carryable than the Surge. That being said, I don't think it's as capable, and we are going to go over why. I've had a lot of roadblocks with this tool over the last year, and I'm going to share them with you today. So the first one would be, it did not come with a pocket clip. It did not come with one at all. When I bought this in April of 2019, they were only shipping the Free P4 with the lanyard loop. So one of my first challenges was trying to get a pocket clip. They were like, oh yeah, it'll be released a week after the tool's release. That was not true. It took like multiple weeks. I think I remember at least 6 weeks before I was even able to order the pocket clip. So yeah, they didn't deliver very well on that. However, they did get the pocket clips eventually. I bought one, and then I needed to send this tool back for warranty. My problem was I had used the hardwire cutters, and there is video evidence of this. I will have a link in the description. I used the hardwire cutters on a steel rivet, and after I cut the rivet, this action, this like flopping around, totally stopped. The action totally froze up and was like grinding and binding, and you couldn't even like open really the jaws of the pliers without the handles breaking free and trying to close again. So it was a huge manufacturing error. I know I wasn't the only one that experienced that problem. So I did send mine back for warranty, and I believe they totally replaced the tool. I had not at the time checked the like serial number or whatever on here. I think it's, yeah, see that? Focus. See how it says 0619? Yeah, do you remember when I said I bought this tool in April? Yeah, so there's no way this was made in June and I bought it in April. So they totally replaced the tool. So going forward, just be aware that Leatherman's new pliers currently have some issues. It is nice that they have these replaceable hardwire cutters. However, if you can't use the hardwire cutters without sacrificing the entire functionality of your pliers, that's a huge problem. That's huge incentive for your competition to steal your customers away. These plier jaws, I mean, they remind me of the Leatherman Surge quite a bit. They are needle nose. They are good for, you know, picking stuff up off the ground and handling things you don't want to touch. I will say I have done that hardwire cut test with this new pair, and they pass with flying colors. Like you can see, the action is still nice and loose like it should be. Okay, let's take a look at these external tools. Knife blade, I actually have no complaints about the knife blade. I think it's great. I think it is actually better than the Leatherman Surge, which just for funsies, let's compare. So it's a little bit shorter of a blade. However, the Surge is a flat grind, whereas the P4 is a hollow grind. And let me tell you, this blade is a great slicer. And I also think it's positioned well on the tool. It's near the edge, and it's also on the bottom. So you're not going to get in too bad a way unless you're trying to cut directly on a flat surface. Let's say I wanted to cut the Leatherman Surge. You can see how my knuckles get in the way there. So it's not the perfect like chopping knife. However, for slicing and other regular tasks, this thing is going to be perfect. And it is 420 HC, so it's easy to sharpen and takes a good edge. Opposite that, we have the serrated blade, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't think I've used this portion of the blade. I think I have only used this sort of chisel tip, if I can focus on that. That is all one bevel, and it's a great scraping tool. It is quite slicey on its own. So I gotta say, if you're gonna throw the serrated blade on there, Leatherman, keep this tip design, because it's pretty useful. Scissors. These scissors are, whoops, sorry about the focus. Scissors are okay. I think I would have to say that I prefer the Leatherman Surge, and it's probably just because they're a little more comfortable to use. They aren't very much bigger, right? These are pretty close to the same size, and in terms of like functional cutting edge, they are virtually the same. However, this bigger, meatier little spot for your thumb is much more comfortable to use than this littler one on the Free P4. So scissors, okay on the P4, they will serve. However, the Surge does have some better ones, if you're asking me. And then here's a tool that I don't know if I ever used. This is the saw. It is not removable, and in my opinion, it is probably the least useful tool for me on this. I would so much rather have this T-shank configuration thing that the Surge has, because you can swap in your own saw blade, right? Saw blade and file. This one's just a saw, and you can't remove it. It does cut wood, I assume. Again, I don't think I've used it, and I know people are going to make fun of me, like, oh, that's the thing I use most. Well, you know what? I'm in an urban setting in a laboratory most of the time when I'm at work, so yeah, I don't really have occasion to use a saw all the time. If you're in a rural setting, totally, I completely get it. But for me, I just wish I could swap it out with a different tool. The action and deployment of these smaller tools is wonderful. Going forward, Leatherman, you need to keep this magnetic architecture at least for these smaller tools, if possible. It really is super easy to deploy all these things. These tools kind of virtually clump together because your thumb is just naturally going to push all of them at once, and then you're kind of free to fan them out and select the tool that you want to use. It's very easy, requires no fingernails, and I hope they keep this going into the future. I like this two-dimensional Phillips with the cap lifter. I think it's got a pretty good length on it, and it has proven useful. This other tool is also somewhat useful. There is sort of an edge right here, so you can see. It's meant to be a screwdriver up top, but I find that this edge makes it a little less reliable in that capacity. This is a pretty good scraping implement, and I think those two tools together beat out pretty much everything on this side, which is pretty sad. There's a can opener, which it's 2020. I don't know why I need a can opener all the time. There's this awl, which isn't a good reamer. It's not a good awl. It's not a good stitching needle, so I don't really know why I have it. As you can see, there's a bevel tip on there, which is meant to be a tiny flathead screwdriver, but when you bevel one side of it, you're essentially driving with a chisel, so I don't know what that's about. There's a scraping edge, as you can see here. However, I just showed you a scraping edge on the other side, so not really sure why that's a thing. Here's the world's smallest ruler in metric and inches for some reason. There's a wire stripper notch in there, and there's a flathead, another flathead driver on here with, again, another bevel for whatever reason. I really don't know who approved this design. And then the file on here is absolutely stupid. Like, this is stupid small. As you can tell, I have used it, that's why it's all gunked up. However, the small size of it really makes it very, very light duty. I'd almost rather not have it at all and use a dedicated file. And, you know, just for good measure, let's bevel another screwdriver tip on there. Flathead screwdriver tip with a bevel. You gotta stop doing that, Leatherman. I don't know what the deal is. So that was my opinion on all the tools. And now for the final conclusion. This multi-tool is a very good one-handed tool. It does have great one-handed accessibility, as you can see here. You can close it one-handed. It's a little funky for me anyway, because my hand is kind of a medium size. Decarry clip is pretty good. The finish is okay. There's nothing really to write home about. But what I'm leading to here is, at a price point of $140, this tool isn't worth it. It is very interesting. I think it does have design elements that should carry forward into Leatherman's future products. It has that going for it, at least interesting engineering. However, the flaws that come with it, that being the plier heads that bind up when you cut hard wire, the fact that it didn't come with a clip from the factory, and that was an original problem, which is why I'm bringing it up. I bought it in April 2019, it didn't come with a clip, and they actually gave me a clip when I sent it back for warranty, which was interesting. Yeah, they did not deliver the clips when they said that they would. The finishing isn't anything to write home about, and then, you know, obviously you have a ton of really stupidly designed flathead screwdrivers, so if you really need those in your life, I mean, feel free to get this tool, but for me, I could have done just as easily without them. I think the Leatherman Surge, despite its bigger size and sort of more unwieldy package, even with its internally accessible tools, I think the Leatherman Surge is a far better purchase, considering that you can get these fully kitted out, you know, extra blades and the saw. I think you can even get like a bit kit, and that would probably cost you $140. So at the price point and with the current design flaws, the Leatherman Free P4 is not worth your money, and I'm telling you that after having it for an entire year. I'm not saying that lightly. I paid full price of my own money for this. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you like this kind of content, feel free to follow the channel. I also do fountain pen stuff, other multi-tools, knives, mostly EDC gear, that kind of thing. So if you're into that, please give me a follow, and feel free to check out my Patreon for more content. It is free to join my Patreon. If you dislike this video, drop me a comment and dislike the video, because I want to know why. Alright, thank you very much for joining me today and sticking with me through the whole year. If you saw that original Leatherman Free P4 video, I really appreciate you. I've been Joe, you've been watching Ink&Iron, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye bye.